What's going on, family? I'm extremely excited about this episode 2 of Chairman Talks, where we're going to go in with a different chairman every single week to make sure that everybody on this call, whether you're brand new or whether that you've been in for a long time, can learn from some of the top 1% of income earners in this entire platform. This one's very special to me because, we have a very special guest speaker. We have the very first chairman out of Sacramento, right? We have, somebody who has an international organization literally all around the world. And the craziest part is most of us on this entire call would not be here without him. And in fact, he's the person that personally enrolled me into the academy. So if it wasn't for this individual that's about to speak right now, literally, I wouldn't be here. 1,000+ people in a dozen different countries wouldn't be here. And, yes, he's making a lot of money and he's very close to Chairman 25. But what's more important is the amount of lives that he's been able to change, the amount of lives that he's been able to impact in. Truth be told, he has a pretty crazy rags to riches story. And that's where we're going to go ahead and get started. Q, are you there, boss?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir. What's good?
Let's go.
Hey, I like the robe, bro.
I appreciate you, man.
That's tough. I like it. Anyways, yeah, so we're going to go ahead and dive right into this entire call. I got some questions for you, bro. You ready?
Let's run it up, bro. Let's run it up.
So the very first thing that I wanted to talk about tonight, bro. This guy Eric said, big cozy. By the way, guys, if there's a question that you want me to ask Q, drop it in the chat. Send it to me personally. In this chat, and I can ask some of your guys' questions as well. But to be honest with you, I got some questions I want to ask you, and I don't ask questions unless I want to know the answer for myself. So let's go ahead and dive right into this thing. So first of all, I want you to tell your story, bro. And, obviously sometimes there's like a story that you kind of just tell, like a quick little testimony on stage and stuff like that. But, we don't have too much time to typically go like deep into our stories. But the story is the most relatable part. So I'd love for you to go in depth with your entire story, bro, and talk about, where you were before this, where you are right now, and, some of your vision for the future for 2021, bro.
No, most definitely. First and foremost, I want to say thanks, Cruz, for, inviting me on today's call. What is good with all of the fam that is tuning in? It's crazy. I'm actually have COVID right now, right? So I'm full-blown COVID, but I definitely did not want to cat off and still run this call, guys. So, just bear with me. I'm going to try to give you guys as much energy as possible. But I'm not just feeling the best, right? But, definitely, it's crazy. When we usually do events, as you said, we're not really able to go, completely in depth with our stories. But, guys, let me see where to start.
Give us some details, bro. Give us some.
Yeah, I'm gonna go in depth. Got you. All right. So, first and foremost, family, as you already know, I'm born and raised in Sacramento, California. I'm 24 years old, and I've been in network marketing now, since the age 19 years old. And, my very first company that I got involved with, I was involved with that company for about 6 or 7 months. We were selling, health and wellness products. Actually, Cruiser was actually in that company as well. And the thing about it was, family, I wasn't necessarily, I was excited about it. I was excited about the opportunity. I definitely believed in network marketing. I just didn't necessarily believe that, anybody can have success. I thought that you had to have had, prior network or something like that. So I ended up walking away from the industry, and I ended up going back to college, at Sacramento State University. And around that time, I was just really finding myself going through the motions. And I started to ask myself, am I truly happy? Like, what am I doing? Am I chasing my passions, or am I chasing paychecks? Long story short, I ended up, just getting really, really open-minded just to different ways. People were out here making money, mainly virtually. It's crazy. I actually got introduced to I Am, by, Matthew Rosa. Matthew Rosa, I actually reached out to Matthew Rosa, and it's crazy. He didn't have like a pre-recording video or anything like that. He had sent me a PDF file, and, me and him, I've hopped on the phone for about 40 minutes. long story short, you know, he was telling me all about, you know, he didn't even talk about Forex whatsoever. You know, he was just talking about more so like my visions and my goals, you know, what his visions were, what his background was. You know, we really didn't necessarily go in depth in what we do. So I didn't even know he was involved with Forex at the time. Long story short, you know, I ended up hopping off that phone call. And, you know, about a month later, I ran into, I sent John Guaman a message on Facebook, you know, and that's when, you know, it's crazy. I actually remember John had sent me an opportunity call. I was ducking and dodging him sending me opportunity calls. And so he ended up getting me on one. There was this dude named Derek Mcgee at the time. He was fully launching his business. And so I hopped on there, and I remember Matt Rosa, you know, he was doing a presentation while really in the middle of a grocery store, in the middle of a grocery store. And then long story short, you know, he went ahead and he paused like dead in the middle of the video. I mean, of the presentation. And he was like, yo, he's like, Q? And I jumped off the call, right? Like literally he called me out in the middle of an opportunity call, and I jumped off the call. And then after that, him and John Guaman got on a three-way call with me, and they closed me into the business, and I couldn't even afford to get started at the time. But you know, that's ultimately how I ended up getting involved, you know, with this company. Now, family, you know, many of you guys know my story, but I don't think a lot of you guys know like the ins and outs, the depths of this business, you know, and what I really had to go through. You know, I remember when I first got involved, you know, I was super excited, and that's just about, you know, the opportunity. You know, I wanted network marketing to work, but I wanted to, you know, make sure that, you know, anybody and everybody can be successful. You know, I wanted to be confident knowing, you know, if I sat down with somebody and I told them, look, you know, you can accomplish all your goals and your dreams with this opportunity, you know, that I was being true to my word. And, you know, once I found out that, you know, the products and the services were actually working, and, you know, I figured this is something that anybody can be successful with, whether they were able to go out there and recruit or not, you know, they can still be successful because, you know, I was personally really good at recruiting and selling, you know, anything that I was, you know, just passionate and excited about. But I realized that everybody can do the exact same thing, you know. So long story short, you know, I ended up, you know, going out to Phoenix, Arizona. At the time, you know, I wasn't necessarily building the business. For like my first, you know, 2 months, I wasn't really building a business. You know, I was just copying and pasting trades, you know, kind of posting my back in the day, we were able to post profits. So I was posting my profits, you know, on Snapchat and Facebook. You know, I actually sent cruisers some profits too. You know, but it's crazy because, you know, just off of that excitement, I had built up my first team, you know, and it was all centered around, you know, peers, classmates, you know, people, a lot of people that were actually at Sac State or in my workspace. And, you know, that I built up that whole team. Really, none of my friends actually got involved with the business. I end up, you know, going platinum 1000 all by myself. I D-ranked back to platinum 600, barely was maintaining P600, you know, and that was around the time where I really realized, you know, that I had to, you know, I couldn't build this business based off of excitement. I had to really build it off of, you know, knowledge, you know, understanding. And so then I'm trying to figure out where else to go, right? Oh, and so, you know, that's when I actually went on, you know, I started looking for, you know, higher quality people to bring into the business, you know, because I was just bringing in people that were, you know, I knew that can be brought in, but I knew I had influence over more so. Right. And so John had a conversation with me, and he was like, hey, bro, you know, do you see yourself making, you know, 6-7 figures in this business? And I was like, I definitely do. And I was like, that's the only reason why I'm here, you know? And he was like, hey, bro, he was like, well, he was like, you need to learn how to, you know, he said, master the skills of the business. He said, create a list of 120 people. At this point, I was like, you know, I don't know 120 people. I already went through my whole warm market. And then I went on Facebook. Right. And I started to, you know, jot down a lot of the different people that I had on Facebook. I wasn't really building on Instagram at the time. You know, ended up actually during that like watch out. During that recruiting spree is actually when I enrolled, you know, Malachi Turner, Chairman 10, you know, Matthew Cruz and Leanne Donoso, you know, both Chairman 10s. I brought in this gentleman named, you know, Alex, who actually got me introduced to Isam during the same spree, you know, when I actually made that decision to start becoming a professional in the business. You know, long story short, you know, as I'm going through, you know, just building a business, it's crazy. I was a P1000. I always I just been recently telling this story a lot. You know, I was a P1000, and I was in an environment. How many of you guys on this call, you know, are in or was in an environment that wasn't necessarily like conducive towards your growth? right? Like you just kind of felt hindered by the environments that you were in, right? So family, I was actually living at home with my family at the time, and outside of my room was nothing but negativity, right? Nothing but negativity. I had affirmations, and I would listen to like Eric Thomas and stuff like that in my room, kind of creating my own environment, because outside of my room, all I could control was my environment. I couldn't necessarily control what was happening outside of my room. So if I was ever at home, I was locked in my room. If I wasn't locked in my room, I was at a Starbucks, launching people, meeting people, bringing people into the business, linking up with team, trying to help people with the products. And so I'll never forget, I was in my room, and then, me and Lewis, he had just got involved with me in the business. Lewis Cargan was actually on this call. Me and him ended up becoming roommates, right? Me and him ended up becoming roommates. I remember, I ran 3 opportunity calls, and he stayed there the entire day, watched me run all these opportunity calls, right, by myself. And then we were looking for apartments. So me and Lewis ended up moving out of apartment together. Now, remind you, at the time, I'm 20 years old. At this point, I'm making $1,000 a month, right? I'm making $1,000 a month. My portion of the rent was $1,000 a month. I was ignorant, and I bought a car at Platinum 600. That was my entire P600 check. Right. So I did some dumb stuff early on. I put myself in a lot of pressure. But it's crazy because I didn't even get to use my bathroom or sleep on my bed for the first 3 days, right? First 3-4 days. I actually got caught up in a situation where I was lied on, where I was falsely accused for something I didn't do. And then I was put in jail for 4 days, right? For 4 days. And I had to wait in there for 4 days because it was over the weekend. And the judge wouldn't have been available until like that Tuesday, right? So I was in jail for about 4 days, and I remember, I was laying on the top bunk, and I would write down, like manifestations. I would write down, I'm so happy and grateful. I would, write down that I was a chairman 10. I would write down everything that I wanted to do, everything that I wanted to accomplish. I actually still have that piece of paper here. I actually
while you're in jail.
While I'm in jail.
That's fucking crazy, bro.
Yeah. And so, I got out. My mom thought I was dead. Lewis thought I was dead. My whole team thought I was dead. Nobody knew it for me because I couldn't remember anybody's phone number. So I had no contact to anybody. Right. So I get out. And at this point, like I told you, I hardly can afford my bills. I'm making $1,000 a month. And so I remember I got out. We had 2 lawn chairs. We had no furniture at the time. I had a laptop on my lap. I had sitting on one lawn chair, on the other lawn chair, I had my phone charging up, and I was on the phones literally all day. That's the same month I went from P1000. Now I was barely hanging on to P1000 at the time. I went from P1000 to P2000 that by the end of the month, right? So I was actually able to afford my portion of the rent, right? But it really took that pressure, right? And so check this out. Soon after that, now we're looking in February, right? Because that was January. Now we're looking in February. I remember I flew out to Seattle, Washington to launch Cruiser and Leanne, to launch YouTube, bro.
And you were a P2 at the time.
Remember when I was a P2. And you remember when we were on
and I was a Platinum 0.
Yeah, you were Platinum 0.
Okay.
Do you remember when we were in the car and I found out that I was having my daughter when I was in Seattle with you guys?
Yes, bro. I remember that.
Right. So fam, now check this out. I'm just now in this new situation, right? I get a phone call, right, from my ex-girlfriend, right? And I'm having a child. And
while you're on tour.
While I'm on tour.
It's crazy, bro.
Right. While I'm on tour. So, I just started turning up. At this point in time, I'm like, okay, I just got to go crazy. I have no choice. I got this little one coming into the world. I got these new responsibilities that I just took on. I couldn't just drop the ball because Lewis, his credit was on the line too. Right. So I really had to just go crazy, and then, within the next month and a half, 2 months, I went from Platinum 2000 to Platinum 5000. Right. And so now, I'm a Platinum 5000. I'm a little bit more in a comfortable situation. We're just grinding. I remember, we were doing, event after event after event. We were running events inside of our apartment complex, literally looked like a trap house. The carpet began to get dirty. We had a staircase, and the staircase was dirty because there was so much traffic from people coming up and down the stairs every single day, us showing the plan. Yeah, and the dishes. Yeah, we didn't even have time to do the dishes, right? It was crazy. Anyways, family, right? So my daughter's born now, right? My daughter's born. And when she's born, most people don't realize this, right? But when she was born, my daughter was actually, she had a heart condition, right? So she had 3 heart surgeries in her first three months of life. And so, now I'm 21 years old, I'm in the hospital with my daughter. She's good now, like God's good, she's straight, perfect child, right? But at the time, we didn't necessarily, she was fighting for her life on an everyday basis, and I remember, I was building a business, bedside next to her, I was trading every single day, I would step out of the room, I was hosting calls, I was launching people, I was closing calls, completely focused even in the situation. I'll never forget, I flew out from the San Francisco airport, right? To Seattle, Washington, did an event, came back home the next day, a week later, drove all the way to Sacramento, 2 hours away, right? Took the train, then drove my car back from Sacramento. We had an event with Alex Morton, drove all the way back from Sacramento back to San Francisco the same day, right? So like, it was a situation where, my back was against the wall, medical bills were coming up, hundreds of thousands of, like literally guys, thousands of dollars in medical bills. It was stressful. And so, I just applied more pressure. A few months after that, by the end of that year, we actually went Chairman 10. It was right after the London convention. We just applied more pressure. You just kind of get in a situation where it's like, look, you either going to sink or you're going to swim. A lot of people would complain about different situations or let those situations be the hindrance of why they don't do what they need to do. But for me, it was all the fuel I needed, because, it put me in an uncomfortable situation, and it was situations I didn't necessarily ask to be in. But, I believe that, God won't give, he won't give challenges to anybody outside of his warriors. You know what I'm saying? Like if you go through stuff,
I hope everybody just wrote that down. Like for real, talking about like most people use their challenges as an excuse. I use that as my motivation to move forward. That is a bar. I hope every single person wrote that down. Continue, bro.
Nah, man. And, just here now, what I mean? Just working on getting to the next level, realizing a lot about, personal growth. I think the season that I'm in right now is just more so, being more so aware, and aware of myself, aware of my flaws, my strengths, my weaknesses, and just being more vulnerable with people. I think naturally a lot of us, we try to hide our pain, we don't like to be vulnerable. Everybody wants to be like tough. But I'm realizing the power of vulnerability. I'm realizing the power of, just being aware and, just, keep making sure that God is at the center of everything,
Yeah. I feel like everybody feels like their problems are unique. They're going through certain things and they allow those excuses to like hold them back. Like, what would you say to those people, bro? I mean, we kind of just talked about it, but like, what would you say to those people, bro?
I think people that go through challenges and they allow that to hold them back, they're missing the test. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
that's the whole point of, God giving them that challenge is so that they can respond with faith. You know what I mean? Moving forward. And I think a lot of people, they get hit with these challenges and they fail that test, so they stay where they're at, that problem never gets solved.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Bro, I have so many questions I want to ask you, bro. I'm gonna start with you talked about going from P2 to P5 in about a month and a half. Most people talk about that being like the biggest jump from P2 to P5. What allowed you to go from P2 to P5 in such a short period of time where others seem to like really struggle? Myself included, I hit P2000 right away. And then I literally was stuck there for a year until I hit P5. So, is it a mindset thing? Is it a skill set thing? Like, what do you think allowed you to go, straight through that from P2 to P5?
I think there's a few things, for one, you got to have the willpower, you really got to be, motivated and ambitious. I remember, I was messaging like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people a day. I won't tell anybody to do that, right? But I was going through the numbers. So I just had a tenacity. I really wanted to get it done. And the thing was, I was also hearing that platinum 2000 to platinum 5000 was the biggest jump. And so, I just started tightening up on my skills. I started trying to go out here and attract, higher levels of leadership, because I believe, yes, bringing in, new blood, people who have no experience, network marketing and stuff like that, be able to raise them up is great, but that takes time for them to manifest into, sometimes what we see in them, you know what I mean? And so I started to go out there and I started to look for, like leaders, people who had like influence, people who had experience in the business. And I think that's what really helped me jump, because think about it, when you launched, you were a leader in prior to network marketing, you had experience. And so when you came into the business, you almost went P2000, in your first 30 days. You know what I mean? So
I think the key is just like you either got to find leaders or you got to develop leaders. Cause like for me, like at P2, I felt like it was like the Leanne and Cruiser show. Like we were doing every call, every presentation, every event. And up until the point where we were able to really duplicate ourselves and have like a bunch of mini yous, mini us's going out there and doing what we could do, then and only then were we able to go from P2 to P5. And you are talking about attracting other leaders. So I think that's the big key, whether you're, attracting other leaders or whether you're building other leaders, it's like a leadership issue if people get stuck around that time. I feel that.
Exactly.
Yo, I wanted to ask you about recruiting. You're one of the best recruiters. You might be the best recruiter that I know, to be completely honest with you. How many personals do you have? Rough guesstimate.
276.
276 personals. Yo. And what advice do you have for the people that are struggling to go P150, bro, or struggling to just recruit in general? Because obviously, do you know something that they don't know? Are you putting in more work? Like what is it, bro? Because you don't get 276 personals on accident,
bro. Honestly, bro, it was just going through the numbers, going through the numbers. Like I was talking about earlier, I've always kind of had a mindset, like if this is going to happen, if it's up to me, it's up to me. So I couldn't ever rely on my team to do something that I wasn't necessarily doing. So I've always been really big on, trying to lead from the front, and if it's going to happen, it's because I'm going to have something to do with it happening, and so I would just be talking to, tons of people. I would go on Facebook, look up like Gary Vee, I'd look up Ty Lopez, I look up all these big time entrepreneurs, Eric Worre, and I'll go on their pages and I will engage with their engagers. I would add their engagers, I'd go on social media on like Instagram and I would look up, different schools and find people that I relate to, sports that I relate to, and I would just talk to large numbers of people. I remember when I actually went on that P2 to P5 run, I would add up to 5,000 people. I would add up to 5,000 people on Facebook. And then, I'll try to message them, trying to interact with them. And then if the ones that didn't engage, I would delete them all and then do it all over and keep doing it. Because there's like a 5,000 limit on Facebook. Yeah. And then when it came to Instagram, guys, something that I used to do all the time was, I would go through other people's, tags. So let's say, I went on Cruiser's page on Facebook, on Instagram, and he had a picture of like, let's say Eric, tagged with him. I will go to Eric's page. I will engage with Eric. I'll see if Eric tagged people on his pictures, right? And then I will go to his network too, and I will engage with them because now I'll eventually get, one of those people and I'll end up getting that whole group. So it was just things like that, just planting like continuous seeds like every single day. When I was using the bathroom, when I was waiting in lines, whenever I had the opportunity, I'd be on my phone just building new relationships.
Dang. Yeah, man. I think that like people always want to know what's the secret. And the secret is not keeping it a secret. It's talking to as many people as you can. And I feel like so many people are like, it's not that they're not capable. It's that they're just not willing. They're just not willing to go out there and, go through the numbers like you talked about. And Also I think that some people aren't willing to go through the numbers because they're like, they care about what other people think. And when I think about you, bro, I think of somebody that has a bulletproof mindset. I think of someone that's like extremely confident. So for somebody who's maybe like lacking that confidence, or maybe just wants to build up that confidence, like what advice would you give them to like really think about it? It's all confidence, this entire bit. I don't care if it's a business, sports, trading. If you're not confident, you're done. So what can people do to raise their confidence, bro?
To raise your confidence, I think mastering the skills of the business, fully understanding, what you have to offer, understanding your products and services, having results yourself, really builds up your confidence, because when you believe in what you have, you're not necessarily stuck on trying to impress or prove anything to anybody. You just more so are sharing what you have access to. And I think that's where a lot of my confidence came in. I knew who I was working with. I knew what I had access to. I knew, what I was capable of. And I think that every single person on this call has to believe that, you can do anything you really put your mind to, if that's really what you want to do. And that was my mindset too. I figured, okay, this works, I work, we can go, and just that's kind of what built my confidence.
That's fire, bro. It's like repetition, mastering the skills. I love that.
Repetition.
When did you make that decision to really just like go all in? Were you all in from the beginning, or was it just like something that kind of happened over time? When did you like really make that decision to go all in?
I decided.
Was it before I am? Was it like in like previous to that, or like you were already just all in and then you like kind of transferred that into I am and you're just.
Yeah.
When a lot of people are toe dipping, bro.
Yeah, what made me go all in, I'm gonna be real. I remember when I was sitting down at my first network marketing ever like meeting. When I first got involved with network marketing, so the person that got me in network marketing is not even in network marketing anymore. But I signed up, and then they had a convention in San Diego. They did like regionals. And so, 3 days after I got in, literally packed all my stuff. My family thought I was crazy. Drove all the way down here to San Diego with a group of people that I didn't even know who they were. And I met a millionaire for the first time. I shook his hand. I seen multiple millionaires in the environment. They seem to be normal people. And at that point in time, I was like, okay, that's when I really went all in, because I seen, okay, it's possible for me to actually make $1 million doing this. And it wasn't necessarily about becoming a millionaire or making $1 million, but it was really about, having that power over my situation and wanting to be able to help my family. So when I seen the possibilities of what this industry was capable of, that's when I went all in. And then I got re-involved, right? Because I lost faith, I lost belief, like I said earlier. But then I got re-involved, right? And then when I met Matthew Rosa and Jason Brown had invited me to a GoPro event in Las Vegas back in 2018. And I went to this event, and I stayed inside of a mansion. It was John, Austin Godsey, Matt, Jason, like literally Cash the Great, Emery, Darwin, like Gustavo, like a lot of the people that you guys know now, these top tier ranks. I was in the crib with them, and these dudes were like P5000s, P1000s, now they're like Chairman 250s, Chairman 100s. So when I went there and I was rubbing shoulders with all of these people, that's when I said, you know what, I'm gonna go all in. And I was a P600 at the time.
That's crazy.
The experiences.
Yeah, bro. Well, I find that most people they when they're reaching out to people and they're like prospecting and they're talking to people, like they never actually like follow up with people. It's like a very, 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 very small percentage of people. Yeah, bro. Tell people the story about how you actually got me started personally, because I think that's a pretty good story.
Yeah. So it was actually crazy. Me and Cruiser, we used to we were strangers, but me and him were, like I said, we were both in a previous network marketing company. And we used to kind of compete, we would kind of challenge each other. He was a higher rank than me or whatever, and then I'll never forget, I had got involved with this opportunity and I had tried to tell him about it. He wasn't listening to me. Ultimately we ended up, getting on a phone call. I had sent him some profits to his phone, right? So I sent him some demo profits, right? And so I sent Cruiser some demo profits. And I remember me and him hopped on a phone call, and I was sitting in my mom's garage on top of the laundry mat having this conversation. He was like, look, so what you're telling me is like, you can really make this money. Like, this is real money that could be made. I'm like, yes, this is like real money, that can be made. And then, we were kind of going through the ringer, going back and forth, Cruiser, you bro, at the time you were like attached to the company, you were attached to your leadership. But what ended up happening was, just with being persistent, constantly just building on our relationship, ended up getting, Cruiser and Leanne in touch with Jason Brown and John Guaman. It's actually funny because Leanne's the one that actually made the decision to get started, and she made the decision. I remember Leanne was more into the trading side at first. And she was mind blown from it. And then so when we got Leanne on board, we knew for sure Cruiser was going to be on board, right? So we were like, okay, so let's get Leanne right on the trading. So if we get Leanne right on the trading, and Cruiser, because I knew Cruiser was a straight builder too. So we ended up getting them involved, and then I think we really established things. I'll never forget. I was on a 4-way call. It was me, you both, Jason, and John, and I was sitting sitting in the sandwich spot. That's when you guys actually like locked in, and the rest was that. The rest is for the birds.
Yeah, bro. What you did is genius. When you find, a leader, somebody that has a lot of influence or somebody who's made a lot of money, you want to get them connected with people like John, get them connected with people like Jason. I feel like people think that it's difficult for them to recruit people that have made more money than them or are more successful than them. But what you did was genius. And I hope all you guys were paying attention to that because, Q, when I was talking to Q, it was like, okay, whatever. And then he got me connected to John, and then he got me connected to Jason. By the way, John was only a P5 at the time, and Jason was a Chairman 100 at the time, Jason Brown. And so, that being able to like get connected, that was like everything. And that's a genius strategy for going out there and finding other people. But you didn't even tell the most important detail, bro. The most important detail of that entire thing is that it was over the course of 9 or 10 months. Literally, we were having conversations. I can show you. I have the messages to this day. I don't delete any of my messages, and it's on Facebook. Literally, over the course of 9 to 10 months, Quiani was following up with me every single month, and it wasn't like people always ask, like, "Yo, like, how do you follow up with someone?" As business is, conversation, and if you're in conversation, then like you're following up, right? And so like this dude was literally just like checking in, seeing how I was doing, adding value to me, sending me stuff. But like, dude, over the course of 9, 10 months, and had he had not done that, then, like I said, the vast majority of us on this entire call wouldn't even be here. So I want you guys to think about that, go back to, it's not about talking to somebody once, literally it's about the second, third, fourth, fifth time that you reach out to somebody. For Quiani, it was like the millionth time that he reached out to me. For when people say no just means not right now. It's not the right time. But the thing about timing is timing always changes. And that's what happened for me and Leanne. So guys, understand that, fortune is definitely in the follow-up, and that's really, really important.
100%.
Yeah, bro. So we got SummerSlam coming up, bro. Have you ever had like an event where you kind of like had like a paradigm shift and it really like had a lot of success, or like it really made a difference? Like, what if you could ever think back to an event that changed your life, what was it and what happened? And also, how important is it for people to get to SummerSlam?
Yeah, the first life-changing event I ever went to.
That's a tough one, right?
It's a tough one. It's a tough one because there's definitely two. There was, for one, the first ever event, Unleashed. When it was iMarkets Live at the time, our very first ever company event, that event right there really set the tone in my belief system of what was possible. I think at the time there was like 5,000 people there, 6,000 people there, first ever event. And I just seen, a lot of people that looked, similar to me, up there having the success that I wanted, and then I would say another event that definitely changed my life was GoPro, because I'll never forget one of the speakers, I forget exactly, I think his name like Tom Lombardi or something like that. He's from like Juice Plus. And
I know Jeff Roberti.
Jeff Roberti.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember he had everybody stand up and he was like, if you've made, thousands of dollars, he said, sit down. He had everybody sit up. And then he said, if you made thousands of dollars, sit down. So people started to sit down. And then he was like, if you've made hundreds of thousands of dollars, sit down. And those people began to sit down. And then he was like, if you've made millions of dollars, sit down. And then he said, if you've made millions of dollars, go ahead and sit down. And when I seen that there was so many people in that room, in that space that was making millions and millions of dollars, it really just showed me what was possible, especially because these people were doing these in like, juice companies and stuff like that. I'm like, yo, we got like Forex, we got cryptocurrency. Like I was fired up. But now, events definitely, just build belief system. Now we got SummerSlam coming up, and the thing is, there are going to be some people here at the people that go to SummerSlam, they're going to realize like, it's just one of those experiences where, we could talk about it on how life-changing events are, and how they will change your paradigm, they'll stretch your belief system, but that the reality is, you'll never understand fully why we are so adamant on getting people into these environments unless you experience it for yourself, right? It's an energy transfer that cannot necessarily be explained. It's something that you just have to go ahead and feel, so I definitely would say, never ever miss an event that you're qualified to attend, right? Never ever, miss an opportunity to put yourself around people who have what you want, and are goaling for the same exact thing, right? So, I definitely would not miss any event unless you have COVID.
Oh man. That's fire, bro. All right. I think last question, man. What is Quiani Mcgee listening to and reading right now? What kind of personal development are you doing right now? And also, what books or audios have you listened to that maybe impacted your life the most?
Yeah, so a book that I'm reading right now is called The Power of Awareness by Neville. It's one of my all-time favorite books as of right now. I'm also reading, it's by 50 Cent. It's right here. 1 second.
The 50th Law?
No, not the 50th Law. Hustle Harder.
Oh, okay.
By 50 Cent. That's what I'm currently reading right now. So both of those books kind of back and forth. As far as, listening to personal development, I've been listening a lot of to, The Magic of Believing. I've been listening to a lot of, Think and Grow Rich, Science of Getting Rich. I've been listening to a lot of Miles Monroe, TD Jakes, Michael Todd, all individuals. And I've been studying a lot of Trade House. I've been studying a lot of, they have a lot of great recordings, Jason, Matt, David, a lot of Trade House, John. I've just been on YouTube, really just being studious to a lot of the different trainings that they have. So
one thing that I really admire about you, bro, is number one, you're aggressive to learn. And this is something that like I talk about a lot, but it's like you're always trying to learn. Like you're always like trying to get in proximity with people who are a little bit farther than you. You're always doing whatever you got to do to like learn. Like you're literally like, when I say aggressive to learn, like you're going out of your way on a daily basis to like learn and add value to yourself. And I also noticed that you do that very well with people that are like in the company and outside of the company as well. Like you're always like if we're at any type of big event, like you're talking to like anybody and everybody, like just gaining value and giving value to other people. And I think a lot of people don't do that. And that's something that I could definitely do a lot better at myself. And we had a recent conversation where I was talking about how I wanted to collaborate with more people, but like why do you do that? Or how important is that? Because like literally like it's hard to explain, but I see you do it. I see like at events, like you're talking to anybody and everybody who's a little bit farther along than you, just like aggressive to learn. That's the best way I can explain it.
Yeah. You know, I would say that's I've always been that
Also,
way.
is that like a common thing that you see in like other successful people in the business as well?
Yeah.
Or is that
honestly, yes. One thing that I've really noticed, and for, you know, in the beginning, I would just say I was just purely hungry to know more. You know, I figured, okay, you know, if I know what this person knows, if I can understand things the way they understand things, if I can see the world in the perspective that they see the world, right, on the frequency that they see it, you know, then I can eventually have and have what they have. I can eventually, you know what they know, teach how they teach.
Yeah.
So I've always just been really eager to know as much as possible, because I feel like, you know, learning is infinite. The moment that you stop growing, you know, you're dying. You never really stay the same. You're either growing or you're dying. So I've also realized, you know, just over the years, you know, I realize a lot of people may feel like shy, or, you know, they feel like, oh, it's a strike to their ego if they go and, you know, ask other people questions, you know, and this and that. But I realized, you know, just being around other successful people, that the most successful people are the ones that are collaborating and asking questions. You know, it's the person that knows that they don't know everything and they're open to hearing other people's perspectives that ultimately, you know, get ahead. So I think, you know, just being, you know, open to everything, but being attached to nothing, right? You may ask somebody, you know, for advice or their perspective on a certain situation. You know, you can be open to how they're thinking, but you don't necessarily have to attach to the way that they're doing things or the way they see things. You know what I mean? But it's allowing your mind to be open. You might learn something that might truly change your life, but you got to ask questions.
Yeah, no, definitely. Definitely. I think that everybody wants to rush to be the teacher, but very few people want to be the student. Like I talk about LART, like learn, apply, results, teach. Learn first, then apply, then get the results, and then teach. But so many people just want to go straight to the T. They just want to be the teacher and they want to skip the L, the A, and the R. I think it's so crazy because some people will hit a rank, like let's say Platinum 1000 as an example.
Yeah.
Some people will take our advice, hit Platinum 1000, and because they ranked up and hit another level, they become even more coachable because what we told them worked. And then now they listen even more, and now they get to the next level. On the other hand, sometimes you see people hit a certain level like Platinum 1000 or any level, Platinum 2000, and because they hit a certain level, they think that they know it all. And I find it so interesting how this, you know, how people leveling up sometimes become more coachable and sometimes people become less coachable.
That's big
very
facts.
interesting. But that's it, bro. Any advice, last closing thoughts that you want to share before we close out the call?
Yeah, bro. Actually, to kind of just feed off that last question, it's crazy because what I realize is like I need everybody to know, you know, when you no longer are being coachable, you know, you're not just, you know, blocking your own blessings, but you're blocking the people that are following you, their blessings as well. You know what I mean? Because, you know, they might be some information that they need, but you don't necessarily have like the experience to or the understanding to be able to give them at the time. But if you know, close them off, you know, to mentorship and growth, then you're just hurting them in the long run. It's more so than just even yourself. But yo, family, I appreciate you for hosting this call. I'm not gonna lie, I'm over here sweating bullets right now. It's been a lot of fun. Just being able to hop on this call with every single one of y'all, for real. Cruiser, I appreciate you, bro.
Hey, everybody drop a C25 in the chat if you got some value from Q tonight. You know, I can't express my gratitude in words because I literally would not be here without you. And most people on this call, exact same thing. And, you know, literally you and I'm Academy and Life by Design didn't change my life, literally saved my life. And, you know, my life, my family's life would not be the same. So appreciate you, bro. Love you, bro. And with that being said, guys, we're going to close out this entire call. I'm going to be back next week with another chairman, guest speaker, doing the exact same thing, same time, same place next week. Love you guys all. Have an amazing rest of your guys' night. I'll talk to y'all soon. Peace.